Hey folks, it's Charlie here again. Today I want to show you one of the first four-wheel drive wheelchairs that I made. A guy named David Heim kind of pioneered this type of four-wheel drive. It's a skid steer, pretty much like a bobcat. So this chair, instead of having wheels that are turning like a car, this thing just turns on its own, called a skid steer, very much like the bobcat. This chair is a beast, all right? I've got it geared down. I'll show you the gearing on it. 2.5 to 1. So the motors have got a tremendous amount of torque. If you're a farmer or rancher, gonna be around cows, going into the mud, you wanna get into a stall and you have to have a tight turning radius, this is the beast for you. You've never been able to stall it or get it stuck in the mud. It just keeps on going. So this chair pretty much can do anything. It can go on the beach. It's not very fast. It probably only goes 5 miles an hour, a little faster than a walk, but tremendous power. You can pull a trailer with it, or I'm sure it will pull my car on the level. And I've seen my other friend Dave do that with his chair. If you're gonna be in an extreme place, you can even put a sixth wheel setup, add 2 more wheels on the back if you're gonna do a lot of climbing. But if you look at this chair, just the design of it, I made it a little different than Dave's chairs. This chair sits much lower. I've lowered the battery box and things like that. Since this was one of my first builds, I didn't realize you could put your batteries in sideways. So the batteries, if you need to keep the chair height low, put your batteries in on their sides. It won't hurt them. And lithium batteries are much to your advantage because the more weight you put on this chair, the harder it's gonna turn. A couple things to keep in mind if you're ever gonna build one of these beasts is the longer the wheelbase, the harder it turns. Now, with Dave's chair, he kept his wheelbase very short and fairly tall on some of them, some of his early models. Great, powerful chair, but too high for me to really jump on and feel safe climbing steep hills. So by putting the seat in front of the back wheel, you can climb almost anything without flipping over backwards. All right, if you don't do that, you're gonna need a separate wheelie wheel on the back to keep you from flipping. So that's the only way to increase the length of the chair for hill climbing. But keeping the center of gravity low makes it easy to jump on, and you can mount the motors any way you want. But if you're gonna be out in the mud and you need a tight turning machine on a farm, or to go into the horse stall or mucking the pigs or whatever, this is the machine for you. It's a simple build. It's probably my most expensive build. It costs a little less than $1,000 to build this thing. And the reason is everything on it I had to buy. Let's get into a little details on how this thing works. So to build this chair, you're gonna need a few little things. The first thing you're gonna need is a ground 1-inch rod. This is for your axles. And one little trick, when you make this thing, these axles do not go across, but put it together with one axle going for the back end to the front end. This will keep your alignment perfect for both of these wheels. So I can show you right here, the axles are underneath. So what I did was took this 1-inch axle, added a larger bull gear to this thing. So we have the gear coming off of the motor. This is a 24-to-1 gear reduction. coming out of here straight, and the gear reduction goes down to a 2.5 to 1 over here. So that comes across and runs the wheels. The left side of this machine is separate from the right side. So now, to get that power up to the front wheel, we're taking this chain right here and running it up to the front axle. This axle runs through a couple pillow blocks to get to that. Why don't we'll probably flip this right up on its back side so you can see that. Chip, you want to just take and drive it right up on that tire? I think. Okay. You can see this thing won't quit. This thing will climb right up a tree and flip you over if you're not careful. Nothing will stall this machine out. But if you look under here, you'll see I had to buy all of these bearing blocks. Some people call them pillow blocks, I don't know. That's probably old terminology. Put this whole front end together. You're gonna need 8 of these bearing blocks. You're gonna need a ground 1-inch axle. You're gonna need to buy the gears for all of this. And, but put this together without cutting the axle. This way you have perfect alignment of your front end and your back end. And once you're done, then cut these with a cutoff wheel. Take that little piece out of the center and you've got perfect alignment. All of these pieces, these are ATV tires. They're 18 by 10s. Very simple to buy. And the nice thing about this setup is that they're made to fit the ATV wheel. So over here, if you come right in and look at this plate right here is something you can buy. Slips onto a 1-inch tire. Now you can weld this onto the axle, or you could do something like I did, with just drill holes through and pin them in there with a 1/4-inch hardened bolt. If you want to go a little bit higher, you can go to a 5/16 bolt, but put a hardened grade 8 bolt in there and you should be fine and never have to worry about it. The same thing with the chains. You're looking at this thing saying, well, it's just a little machine. It really doesn't need a big motorcycle chain on it. I forget the gauges of the chains, but with this chain, you don't have to worry about breaking it, okay? The machine will simply just be scrubbing out. So it's pretty indestructible. That's one thing I like. I don't want the thing to break on me while I'm somewhere and I have to worry about it. So don't use bicycle chains or some little thing. Spend the extra bucks and get a heavy duty piece of chain. The thing really is like a piece of farm equipment. Very, very rugged. So that's it on how the steering works, left to right. One other thing I did do on this chair, let me just take it down from here. One other thing I did on this chair, you can get into extreme places. By that I mean you can go up and down very, very steep hills. 45 degrees is nothing for this chair. So I put on a little actuator. And, well, anyways, you can see it goes for quite a distance. The longer your actuator, the higher you can raise your seat. But when you're coming down a very steep hill, it's very nice to be comfortable in sitting back in the chair. So there's just a little linear actuator right under here. You want to get a look at it. And I took it off a wheelchair.
Is it that thing?
Yep. So you can just flip down on that switch if you want to show it going up and down while you're underneath. Right. That's good. So you really don't need, I'm getting ready to change this one out. I have a much smaller one I found. probably mount it up here, and I'll have more room for batteries. Let's talk about batteries for a minute. This one, I have 2 lithium batteries in it, 50 ampere hours, which is plenty. I've gone for 4 or 5 miles with it. Comes back still just says fully charged. Obviously, they're not fully charged, but still says full. The lithium batteries are lighter. They're going to give you better performance. They're giving you at least 26.5 volts instead of your ordinary 24. So I would say it's got at least $250, let's say $300 worth of batteries. And the rest of that $1,000 are in parts. When I first built this one, I did it out of angle iron that I bought. So you've got, that much angle iron. Doesn't look like much, but it's $100 worth of angle iron. And that's 15 years ago at least. So today that's going to be $200 worth of angle iron, which just kills me. So use bed frames if you can, but if you want nice clean material to weld with, do that. One thing I forgot to mention, I built the battery box lower than the frame so that this seat can get down lower. One reason for doing that is you've already got these bearing blocks that hang down 2.5, 3 inches. So you might as well move your batteries down 2.5, 3 inches. You're not losing anything in ground clearance other than it's more in the middle. But now that I know you can put these batteries on their sides, you could gain even more by doing that if you need to. So you don't have to be so fancy. It's just straight up mechanics. This seat, I don't know where it came from. It was some junky wheelchair that I didn't care for. We just chopped it up and put it together and made it pivot on the back end. And to change the batteries, you just disconnect the actuator and flip the seat back out of the way. But that's about all there is to this machine. It's basically Invacare parts, 24-to-1 gear ratios on the motors. These are 4-pole motors. You know, they tell me it's 650 watts average capacity, 2,042 watts stall. So you've got at least a couple horsepower here. And the gear reduction, really, this is a beast. You won't stall it. It'll climb right over anything. You can drive it right over trees, literally. And you can see how easy it climbed up on another tire. If it can get a grip on something, it's gonna go. So if you want this piece of agricultural equipment or just getting out in the woods and you really want a baby that can go through a lot of mud and keep going, this is your baby. So until next time, God bless, keep your mind full and your bowels empty.